Hey y'all, and welcome back to another video with DIYs by Carolina. I hope you guys are doing well and having an amazing Sunday. So y'all, let me just say, I am taking all of it in, okay? We finally got some flowers in the stores and your girl is super excited and ready for spring. Y'all, I was waiting on this day, okay? All right, y'all, so I am actually at Lowe's. I was looking for some type of wiring or something that was going to be teeny tiny enough where the holes will be extremely small. So then that way a whole lot of trash and everything won't get into the water fountain basin. I couldn't find anything, but look what I did run across. I'm at Lowe's and I'm just kind of walking through the aisles, and lo and behold, look what I start to see. So apparently this is what they use to separate the different bricks and the different stones. And so they're everywhere. They're literally on all of the stones. You can kind of see here. And I guess this is how they transport them or whatever. But I'm gonna find management and I'm gonna ask them, hey, could I have it? And I only need a few pieces. And look at here. Let me see what it looks like. And I guess I'm gonna go back down the aisle with the wires and stuff and see if I see this. But if I don't, I'm gonna ask them, can I take this? And even if I do see it, y'all, I'm still gonna ask them, can I take it? But anyway, that's what I'm about to do. So yeah, but let's first go back down that aisle and see if I see this, because if I'm able to take this piece here or a few pieces like this, I'm gonna just kind of double them up a little bit and angle them differently, so then that way I can make the holes even tinier. Yay, I'm so excited I found this. Oh my gosh. All right, y'all, so I found somebody who was working and they told me I can have them. So I'm gonna go ahead and get a couple more pieces, okay? Because guess what? I'm going to be doing a couple more water fountains, probably in the backyard, on the patio. Y'all, I'm gonna have fountains all through my yard, okay? For enjoyment, relaxation. But I wanna go ahead and get some additional pieces for future water fountains, okay? Right, so this is the area I'm gonna be working in, and I wanna tell you a little bit about what I'm gonna do. But before I do that, I do wanna share with you guys, I'll see if I can't find the comment, but somebody in the comment from my last video basically was telling me that the dogwood tree is probably still alive. And you know what, you were correct. And I'll put your comment up here, because I noticed right here, look at there. There's some fresh new bulbs, but it looks like some of the branches did in fact may have died, like maybe for example like these here, I feel like. But what I decided to do is I'm not going to break anything off or anything like that, and just kind of give it time. But it definitely has some buds on it. Look at there. Trying to get a good angle so you guys can see that. But yeah, so I was super excited when I saw your comment. I ran back outside and was like, oh wow, look at there, it does have some buds. So it is alive, thank God. So I'm just gonna leave it alone. But anyway, so what I want to do in this area is I want to upgrade the water fountain a little bit. So right now, all I did with the water fountain is basically I just have a basin in the ground, you know, with some water in it, and then this little water feature here is, you know, it spews out water whenever the sun is out. The sun is starting to go down now because it's after 6 p.m. But this is a little solar water feature. But what I want to do is I feel like I can really enhance this area. And one of the things I plan to do is I plan to shift this basin, and let me get in the front so you guys can see. I want to shift this basin over. I want to shift it over some. So shift it over some, and then I have some beautiful ground cover plants that I want to plant around it, along with some other taller like plants. And then I want to also layer around the basin with rocks, so then that way you really don't see the basin. But more importantly, what I definitely want to do is I want to add some type of netting on the top of this basin, so then that way, number one, I'm not having to consistently dump this out whenever like trash or debris and things like that fall in here, because that can be somewhat of a headache. So you guys saw the netting that I got from Lowe's. So that's what I want to do in this area. All right, y'all, so I just made it back from Lowe's. Again, like I told you guys before, it's after 6 p.m. So I definitely want to go ahead and dive in and get started with this. I'm going to show you the items that I'm going to be using to, just kind of cover this basin and protect it from any trash, any debris, all of that good stuff. And I'm also going to show you the plants that I'm going to be using as well. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. Y'all, so let's quickly take a look at the plants that I purchased from Lowe's that I'm going to be using in that space. Now, I doubt if I'm going to use all of these plants. Probably, I'm guessing maybe 4 of these plants I may use, but these were actually on sale at Lowe's, 2 for $10. So as you can see, their regular price is $7.98. Is regular price $7.98, and again, like I mentioned before, they were on sale 2 for $10. So I think that was a pretty good buy. And so yeah, so this is the barbecue rosemary here. I'm going to use 2 of those probably, because I even though I have, quite a few colorful plants, I always like to have some type of greenery. So I'm going to be using those. I'm also going to be using the Scarlet Flame Creeping Phlox. You can kind of see that here. And all of these plants, I will have them linked in the description if you're interested in purchasing them. And what I absolutely love about these plants, you guys, they're all perennials, which means they come back every single year. And you guys probably noticed too that all of these plants require full sun, which will be ideal in that space. All right, so I think we have a nice variety of beautiful ground cover plants, and that's exactly what I want in that space. I didn't want anything that was going to get too tall. As a matter of fact, this barbecue rosemary here, it only gets to about 2 to 4 feet in height, and you can kind of see that here. So 2 to 4. Ooh, trying to get the camera just right where you guys can see it, trying to get it to focus. But yeah, so it doesn't get too tall, but tall enough. And then I also went ahead and got a huge bag of some Star Green flower and vegetable garden soil plus fertilizer. And what I like about this particular fertilizer is that it feeds your plants for up to 9 months. So I have a huge bag of this, which I think is going to be more than enough. And if we walk over here, here's that netting that I got from Lowe's right here. And then I'm going to use my staple gun to staple it. And then I don't know why I have this hammer. And then I just have this container here to kind of help me move the mulch out the way. So the other items that I'm going to be using are some landscaping stones, and I have them over here in my landscape in the front yard. I was going to place them there, but then I started to thinking, and I was like, you know what? I think they would look so good around this basin. So I'm going to go ahead and quickly bring those stones over here so I can go ahead and get started with disassembling this solar water fountain. All right, so now I'm about to get started with adding my first layer of netting to this water basin. And what I'm doing right now is just kind of making sure there's no grass or debris that fell into the basin from the rocks, because sometimes the rocks may have a little bit of debris on them. So just wanted to make sure that I got everything out before adding all of my netting. So I'm just using my staple gun to kind of go all around the basin, just kind of stapling the netting. And so once I've done this, I'm also going to add a second layer of the netting. And I just mainly added the rocks for aesthetics because I think I like the way that looks. Okay, so now I'm about to get started with adding my second layer of netting, and I'm doing this because number one, I want to make sure that the little squares from the first netting, I want to make it smaller, and the way to do that is to angle the netting a different angle from the first netting, and that's just going to make the squares even smaller. So it's almost like you're cutting the squares in half, and I'll show you guys a close-up of what that looks like once everything is done. But that's all I'm doing now is just adding that second layer of netting, and again I'm also stapling this as well. And what I love about just being able to staple this, I can remove those staples anytime I feel like it, or I can remove just a portion of the staples if I needed to get down in there for any reason. So you can kind of see here, I'm showing you guys a close-up of how I'm making the little squares even smaller by adding that second netting. And you can kind of see that by me angling the second layer the opposite direction is making the little squares just a little bit teenier, tinier, or whatever. So yeah, so that's the whole purpose of that second layer of netting. So what I'm in the process of doing right now is I'm getting ready to thread the tube through the netting. So this tube is actually attached to the little water pump, basically. So on the other end of this tube is the water pump, and I'm just going to thread the tube through the little squares. And luckily, the tube is almost the same size as these little squares. So I should be able to kind of wiggle it a little bit and just kind of fit it through both of the nets. If you do have a situation where you decide to do this project and your tube is a lot larger than mine, simply cut a hole in the net. Luckily, because my tube is about the same size as the little squares in this net, I'm not having to do that. I can just simply thread it through. You can see the little black pump here on the end, and I should be all set. So now what I'm about to do is I'm getting ready to add the basin back to this space. And you guys will notice from this clip here, I did not dig a hole to put this basin in. I basically just laid this basin on top and covered it with the mulch, and that's just going to fill in any gaps all around the edges of the basin. And I add enough mulch to where the mulch is almost level to the top of the basin. And this is something you can do if you do not want to dig a huge gaping hole to add the basin in. But by all means, if you want to dig the hole, feel free to do that. That's just something I'm not going to do. So this was super easy and convenient for me to just do it this way. All right, so now for the fun part, I'm getting ready to add the landscaping stones, and you guys will notice, number one, that these stones are super heavy, okay? And because the basin is not completely like flushed to the ground, once I've applied all of my landscape stones to the top of the basin, I'm going to backfill the stones with mulch. So right now you can't tell it, but you will see it in the final reveal. I'm going to actually add mulch underneath all of my stones, so that way the stones have something supporting it and it's not like just leaning forward on the basin. And you can kind of see me doing it here a little bit, but I had to end up getting some more mulch from different areas in this landscape and just backfilling it all around the stones. So that way the landscape rocks is supported in the back with the additional mulch. So that's simply all I did to this particular area. And you will notice that I'm placing the netting underneath the rocks, and then I'm also covering any additional netting. I'm covering it up with the mulch. All right, y'all, so I wanted to show you how I'm planting my flowers. I planted mostly all of them. I just have one more, and I want to show you guys what I use. So I typically like to use the Biotone root starter. This is a great product to actually help your plants to root quicker. So I always like to put a little bit of this inside my soil, and then I just kind of mix it in a little bit, and then I'll add my plant. But this is definitely a go-to for me anytime I plant anything in my yard.
My appetite, don't leave me here high and dry. Oh, well, I don't wanna jinx it, baby, and twist myself at the spine.
So it is the next day, and I cannot wait to show you guys the final reveal of this project. OMG. All right, y'all, so I am in the process of adding the last few touches to the solar water fountain area. Right now, I'm just filling the basin with some water. Y'all, I am so excited. Oh my goodness. I am so excited, y'all. I absolutely love this water feature. So before we actually show the final reveal, let's first rewind and take a look back at what the space used to look like. So the space wasn't terrible, but it definitely could use a refresh, especially the area where the water fountain is at. And so as you guys can see, before we just had a plain old basin sitting here with a couple of bricks around it. But by me adding the landscaping rocks, some additional plants, I just feel like it brought it back into nature. It just made it look more natural in this setting. So now let's take a look at the final reveal. And there we go. Look at that. Yes, yes. That looks amazing. I love it with the landscape rocks. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about that. Is this something you could see yourself trying at home? That is gorgeous. Love it. And the stronger the sunlight, the more intense the water. right, so that brings us to the end of today's video. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and watching. If you enjoyed today's content, don't forget to give this video a huge thumbs up and share it with your friends and family. And guys, let me know what you thought of the entire project and if you love the refresh that we gave this solar water fountain. Also, if you are new and visiting to this channel for the first time, welcome. My name is Carolina, and it is such a great pleasure having you here. And as always, to my existing subscribers, guys, I love you all, and I will see you all really soon in my next video. Bye now.